So we're going live, everyone. Here we go. It is February 24th, 2022. I'm going to mute everyone here so that we don't have any background noises, as it tends to happen on occasion. Yes, Jewel says he's back too. Good to see you, Jewel. Let's just go ahead and say hi before we get on with it. So Susan is here with us. She's driving today, so something has changed and shifted, but it's great to see you, Susan. Lynn is back early in the morning for Lynn. We're really happy to have you. Crystal's back. We're sending you love, Crystal, for everything you're going through, and we're really happy you're back with us. Liana's here. One of our favorites, of course. all of you. If y'all remember, everyone's our favorites. So that's a great thing. Christy, Eddie's here. Good to see you, Eddie. I saw you early. That's great. Pat is back. Rima's here. Our fabulous Rima with camera on. Super good to see you. Susan is here as well. Susan Johnston. Great to see you, Susan. We got Alec. Oh, we got a fancy new background. We're in outer space today. Scott's got a beautiful background. You got to tell us about that. Yeah, we got two Scotts. So that's Scott changed his background. Scott, we've seen that picture before. So that's good. Good to see you. Really good. Early in the morning for Scott as well. Joseph is here. Good to see you, Joseph. Camera on today. That's awesome. Deborah's back. Where you been, Deborah? We've missed you too. You can't escape. Terry's back. Good to see you, Terry. And we got Ralph getting himself organized there. That's good. Anne is here. Good to see you, Anne. Tracy's here. Fantastic. Alyssa, Allison, Angel, Joseph, Millicent, Jewel. Our wonderful Roxana's here. Good to see you, Roxana. Blessed Brooks is here. Nadea, our fabulous Gail is here. And many more joining as we speak. So welcome to our daily success calls. Happy to be here with you all on a Thursday. We had a really great talk last time, and something that kind of stayed with me after listening to everyone. And then also, as I was trying to choose, okay, what should we talk about today? Sparked by my daughter this morning. So she wakes up and she says, a dragon is going to come in and take all of my toys, she says. Like, why would a dragon come in and take all of your toys? But, and then this conversation around, something so imaginary but really real to her. This is a true possibility that a dragon is going to sweep into this house and just take all of her toys. So I thought it would be an interesting conversation to talk about imagination. Because, imagination is one of those things that when we're younger, when we're little, we might have been told some different things about, being a daydreamer or, don't escape reality too much and all kinds of things that can really, or even not even those kinds of comments, just kind of a check-in. Is that real? Is that real? Are you sure that's real? Like those kinds of things, right? That just kind of hone us into, I don't know. She's like 2.5. So Nadea is asking if she had a dream. I don't know, so, she's almost 3 really, but it was just sweet. So I was just giving that story. Anyways, so, some comments that we can get throughout our lifetime that will shape how we start to view reality and how we relate to reality and how much we use our imagination. And so, part of our commitment here as part of the as part of the low-hanging system is that we do kind of sit every morning and visualize or imagine. And a lot of these books that we tell you to read, in particular, I'm going to reference today, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Really talk deeply about the use of imagination. And, he considers it the workshop of the mind. That's Napoleon Hill. And there are some really great quotes that I might pull for you as we go along with the conversation. But he believes, and we can have this discussion that really this is the workshop. This is, our imagination is where everything that we want, every desire that we have is given a shape, a form, and an action. And that's how we start to manifest our dreams. Because this Think and Grow Rich, for those of you who have not read it or don't know what I'm talking about, is a book about how to think and grow rich. So how do you manifest your desires and bring them into reality? It's a fabulous book, and it's already out of copyright. So if you haven't read it or given it a few moments, definitely you can find it online, and you can check it out. So definitely worth your time. And he has a particular way of writing, Napoleon Hill. It's kind of an older style of writing, and just a very interesting use of words and the way that he puts things together. He goes around and he interviews all of these successful people, millionaires, and starts to put things together into this like recipe of how do you manifest your dreams? How do you create the reality that you want? Anyways, so moving on to or back into our imagination topic. So, I think it's very interesting to be with inquiry for ourselves on how do we relate to this idea of imagination? Do we encourage it? Do we encourage it within ourselves? Oftentimes we'll look at little kids and we'll really be excited, when they play with dolls or they play with something we love, to watch their imagination being sparked. It's something that's really cute to us. And we find it, fascinating or fun or something that we view as positive. But then, as the children grow older, or if it's our friends or family members, suddenly we're looking oftentimes for an assurance that they're in line with reality, that you're not really going too far out into, I see it all the time also with like, even here on the low-hanging system, when people want to set goals for their first year, I don't know what's realistic. They'll say, I don't know what's realistic. What is a realistic number that I can start looking for? But, there is that crux right in that question, because who determines? It's you that determines. And so it's like, how much can you stretch your own imagination and really be ready for something grand, for something big? And one second, if we pause from all of this and we just kind of look around our space, right? Everything that you see was first in someone's imagination. Somebody imagined it first. They sat down, maybe they had a little pen and paper. I see Lynn is right next to me on the screen. So I see Lynn's, bookshelf behind her. Somebody designed that bookshelf and they had an idea. Crystal has a nice little bookshelf there, and they had that idea. They wrote it out. They drew the scheme. Somebody designed Liana's house, and made it up into something real. And then Liana looked at it and was like, oh, this is going to be a great place for me to live in. I will, I'll go with this creation, with this imagined home. And so that is something to always remember, because anything that we attach to, anything negative that we attach to the idea of imagination, we have to first remember that it all started in someone's mind. So then maybe there were those practical decisions, like, with Lynn's bookshelf, somebody said, okay, we're going to go and get some wood, some timber, and we're going to, polish it and make it look a certain way so that we can then market it and sell it, and Lynn will want to buy it, right? They didn't just kind of, leave it all half done or unfinished. So they kind of brought it into an idea that would make someone want to buy it. And we have to do the exact same thing, or would encourage someone to buy. We have to do the same thing with our low-hanging system business. So when we're making these mugs or creations, we are going to offer things, and Rachel says it all the time, you want to offer things that people are looking for, that they're already used to buying, But then many of you, and I've had many of these conversations, have joined because you feel that you are creative and that you can, offer something new. Here, Lynn's going, yes, you can offer something new, offer something really exciting to your community or your buyers, your customers. And that's why you've joined. You wanted to find an outlet for your creativity, something that you could really contribute to the world. And that's a big part in creating something because you want to first kind of give a scan, on, especially when you're starting a business, and what is going on, in the world today, right? So what is being offered, and what are the needs? That's a great one. What are the needs in society? How can we answer a need? How can we answer a need in society with our business? And once you have that question, once you have that idea, that topic, that niche area, then you start to be really creative, and you're using your imagination. You're using your imagination as you create these mock-ups, as you create these designs. And, even Napoleon Hill, he gives these different types of imagination. He has like the creative imagination that he really relates to. He calls it infinite intelligence, right? Which is like the universe, source, all that, this energy that is around us that we can communicate with, which is like, there are a lot of songs and poems that are written that, all the ideas, it's even something that's discussed in quantum physics, that all of the ideas are already out there, right? And you just kind of tap into it and channel it. You'll hear musicians say, this song came through. Right. This song came through this, I was just a vessel, and the idea came through me. And so, we can contemplate that as well. But the idea that there are different types of imagination, and he then relates to, I believe he calls it synthetic imagination. So it's like you rearrange these old concepts and ideas, and then you make these combinations that create something that either pre-existed, or you just kind of tweaked it or whatever. And so with that in mind, right, these different types of imagination, if we hone it back to really the basics, which is our daily mode of operation, when we're asking you to kind of sit quietly and imagine, we're asking you to find that quiet space. We've talked about meditation before, and we've called it that. And it really is that moment where you quiet your mind to a space, or you focus on one thing, to find that space to connect to this energetic, if we call it infinite intelligence like him, or this energetic flow, right there. It's also important that each of you chooses the words and the terms that relate to you, because I was just in a conversation with someone who, the different use of terms, of ideas for this energetic funnel was very critical to her, to even be able to relate to the conversation. So this is important. That's why I'm giving you all these different ways of saying it, universe, infinite intelligence, energetic flow, whatever you want to call it. This funnel of energy, of ideas that can come in through you, is really something that you want to practice getting in touch with. And oftentimes, you'll hear a lot of people say, oh, the best ideas I get when I'm in the shower, or right before bed, or right as I wake up, right? It's those moments where your mind is kind of either focused on something else or pretty quiet. And then you get this spark of creativity, or something that really ignites you from within to take action, or to write something out, right? That's kind of those ideas. And, we'll just kind of, and I'm about to sum it all up to hear from you as well. And I want to leave some space also for you all to share your ideas, but some ways to really spark imagination and creativity are to just allow yourself some time to not be preoccupied, not be watching something on the TV, or sitting around, or on our phones, right? We do that a lot. When it's just quiet around, you'll pick up your phone and start browsing on something. But if you can find that quiet space, that, where you're not really doing anything, going outside really helps that kind of, because you're looking at what is created around you, and you're getting that kind of energetic feel, and just, marveling at the little things. We talked about that in our last conversation. And so, and then also, looking at things that interest you. You find those places where you have something to offer. You can tweak, you can be creative in this niche that you found, that you feel like you have an answer to give, like something new to offer to the community, or your customers. Playtime, right? We say that for children. Oh, they need to have playtime. They have to be playing outside. And this is something that we know. Like, it's nobody's going to sit here. I think we're not going to argue if children should play or not, right? That would be something that everybody, I think, on this call would agree. Oh, yes, children should definitely play. And so as we grow, there should be playtime for adults. And that can look however you like. It can be your hobbies, what you like, something that makes you giggle, something that makes your heart light and shiny. And you're having so much fun that that's where your focus is, and just on that fun time, and just that that time that you've created for yourself to do the things that you love to do. And of course, not giving up, trying again, really getting at it again. In our house, we love to do different art things. And, I raised a bunch of kids together. And so we would always sit down and do all of these art projects. And just, as the kids grew, of course, at first they try and the art doesn't look so great. And then you go back and you do it again and you do it again. And then suddenly you have artists in the house, and it's a beautiful thing to watch. And it's the same for us. The exact same for us. The beauty now with the internet is that we can put on a video and learn a new skill. We can, you've all signed up here for the low-hanging system. Of course, there's Launch 100 that gives you that extra help. But, we all come together to learn a new skill, and that's outstanding. And, someone imagined that. Rachel imagined the way that this course would look like and what would be offered, and how she would be able to help so many of us just, grow this extra stream of income. So it's something to really admire and just kind of be aware of. I think I'm going to open the discussion up to you. There's another really great quote. I might not be saying it too exact, but Pablo Picasso said, everything that you can imagine is real. And I think that, tying it back to the dragon story, right? The ability to allow ourselves to think that a dragon could come in, or that anything can happen, or that we can create, the business that we want for ourselves. It's a powerful force. It's not something to just take lightly, or, okay, even Albert Einstein, he's great for the quotes about imagination. And he talks about, that it's imagination is more important than the knowledge that you gain. Imagination is more important than the knowledge, because knowledge is limited. And, that idea that we need to think outside the box, and we need to have that information, that imagination, in order to break through the knowledge that we've accumulated until now and create something new. So let's open it up. I already see a hand up from Pedro. Pedro, welcome. Good to hear from you.
Thank you. I'm very new here. I'm just getting started. Welcome. I just recently signed up for the course, and pretty much I'm going through like the very beginning, like modules and all that stuff. So I recently signed up for like my Etsy, and I had an eBay as well already. So I was wondering about that. Like, I was told that it's okay to just use the same eBay account that I already use rather than just create a new one for this purpose.
Right. So you've come onto the Daily Success Call. And the Daily Success Call, we talk about the topics that I was discussing now, like imagination. So if you want to have any, if you want to add to the conversation, then definitely. It's not so much the how-to conversation. However, you have Tuesday and Friday for how-to questions. And
okay.
So, right. Adam leads those calls. These calls at this time by John and I, we talk about the philosophy and becoming the leader you want to be. Today, we're talking about imagination. So if you want to add to that, you can. After this call, there is a help kind of platform that the students have created. So if you want to hop on after that, I'll give the instructions how to do it at the end of the call. Then you could probably ask your community all of that. So that would be my answer to that at this point.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Anything you wanted to share about imagination?
Well, I'm actually very fortunate to have always had like a nice, vivid imagination, but it comes from, I think imagination stems from like, if you're into different kinds of like media, you consume a lot of different kinds of media that helps spark like creativity and stuff like that. So I think just opening yourself and trying out new, like it could stem anywhere from like traveling to even to TV, movies, and like just anything. I think you can get inspired basically by anything, and that could spark like creativity, and that's how I have it at least. But I've always had like a nice out there imagination. But I think just exposing yourself and being open-minded helps with that a whole lot generally.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I agree. You know, books are a great one. Media, movies.
Oh, books as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Always good. Thanks for sharing, Pedro. We appreciate it.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. We got Susan here who made it safe home. We're happy.
Yes, I did. That was like a crazy thing, but yeah, I'm home. Imagination. And earlier you said how everything we know is already out there. But it took the people to take all these little pieces of things that are out there to make the new wonderful weird things that we have now, like somebody put metal to this wire and it made a spark, and so we have electricity, and then electricity can go with this and made something else wonderful. And so yeah, everything we know is already out there, but it's still growing because there's still more new things that are coming up every day, like YouTube. YouTube is my friend, by the way. Yes, I love YouTube. How to do something? YouTube.
I don't know.
So it is growing. Everything's growing and changing.
You remember when it was just like you had to ask your parents if your parents didn't know what you wanted to know, you were doomed. Or you could walk to the library and pull an encyclopedia and try to figure it out. It's like Google, YouTube, the information at the palm of your hand, click it. You got a recipe going. You got how to fix something in your house. Everything is there. And
really. It's funny. You say you ask your parents, and my girls asked me one day after they were grown up, how do you know everything? I made it up.
Well, there you go. That's imagination for you.
Yeah.
The beauty, I remember when I was little, I would ask my mother, we were driving, and I was like, how do you remember where to drive? How do you remember how to get to places? No, the car is just taking itself. And she would be like, the car, no, something like that. And it's like, oh, that's a possibility, right?
It is. It's coming.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Always great to hear from you. I love it. Scott, how you doing?
Morning, Kenny. Morning, everyone. I think one of the things that sprung to mind in my mind straight away was Napoleon himself. He said, "Imagination rules the world." Now, he obviously meant that in a political context, which is very interesting because in any situation of wartime or major change, what you find is that there's always a lot of attention paid to the mindset of the people. Basically, first to identify and impose a perception of reality, what is actually happening now, what the situation is. Now, this is what we think, this is what we want you to think. And then what you do, once you impose a certain vision of reality, you then can change the parameters of what people can dream of and what they can hope for, and the visions that can be sort of planted into their heads, which can serve good ends or bad ends, depending on the leadership. Right. And that's certainly happened in the past. Because once you do confine your reality to certain parameters, the imagination will extend only so far and only in certain directions. And if you're not in control of your own imagination, then that just it means someone else is, and someone else will use that for their own ends. Like thought and imagination, like anything else, can be positive or negative, depending on how it's used. So it's very, very powerful indeed. And you mentioned in passing the idea of parallel realities. I mean, if you want to just extend it for a second, imagination, some people would suggest that imagination is a way perhaps of us experiencing the parallel realities that parallel selves experience in the multiverse of infinite parallel universes, possibilities, and so, or actualities, they say. They actually say that there are infinite number of parallel realities that coexist with ours. And if that is the case, then that means that what we're experiencing now could be the dream for someone else. Yeah. And that's something to think about. There could be a version of ourselves which is so sad and desperate and terrible in some parallel reality that what we're experiencing now is more than they could ever dare even dream of. And that if there is any reality to that perception at all, then I think that imagination helps us to see how our reality can be a blessing every single waking moment, because we are living someone else's dream, well, our dream in another reality, so to speak, if you want to go that way. But then, and also, you mentioned about the media and about reading and so forth. I think that could be a very, very powerful, imagination can be a very, very powerful tool, say with sci-fi or any sort of genre you want to think about, for expanding and reinvigorating visions of the most important things in life, like the concepts of justice, like the love, the powerful, motivating, driving forces of humankind. And imagination can create scenarios which are totally fanciful. I mean, you could be fighting trolls, or you could be fighting the Dark Lord in Star Wars or whatever. And yet the realities about human nature and the lessons about human nature, that can be used as a means of reinvigorating and reminding us of what's truly important in life. And I think that's something that imagination can serve us very well. And I do think, though, that imagination, because it really extends, I think it really is constrained in a way by, as I mentioned before, our definition of what is real. So if we can expand our mind, expand our imagination, then that can actually change our perception of what is real, what the parameters, what the limitations of reality are. And they can extend us out beyond our current realm of thinking. And in that sense, imagination can open possibilities that reality would never even contemplate. And in that sense, we can expand our self-concept. And once you expand your self-concept, you expand your life. Because Maxwell Maltz said that your life will be constrained by your self-concept. Imagination is a way you can fight the dragons. You can do anything you want. Subconscious can't tell the difference. You're fighting real dragons. So whatever qualities you get as a knight or as a heroine in that context, those qualities you're really adopting in real life, because you are a dragon slayer and you are defending the realm. And that quality of victory, that quality of being a knight, of being a hero, of being the savior, that quality subconscious can't discriminate. It thinks you are. So there you are. You become the hero. And that extends back into your waking life, because that concept, like I said, the subconscious can't tell the difference. So it says, all right, you're a knight. And there you are.
I love it, Scott. Yeah, I'm a strong believer, and this is only my humble personal opinion, in really stretching the mind to believe in all things. I love the idea of all the different multiverses and, just stretching beyond what we perceive as reality. I think it's a fantastic exercise. And it doesn't say that something is 100% true, or it is this way or that way. Everyone's still researching all the things, but to be able to allow your mind to entertain different ideas, just like you said, a dragon or a hero, or it's just so healthy for us to not stay bound by those limitations. I like how you phrased it. And there's a lot of talk now by famous scientists. Don Hoffman had talked about different ideas for how our reality has come to be. And there's a whole series on, I was just trying to look it up and see, Infinite Potential by Deepak Chopra. You can listen to all those ideas, and it's pretty out there. And it really shifts that whole idea of what reality is, how reality came to be, and what are we actually living in today. And, and again, it's not to say that someone needs to subscribe to a certain view or a certain way of thinking, but just to allow our mind to stretch, and then you find your comfort zone, but allowing yourself to just entertain bigger ideas, so that we are not bound by those specific boundaries that we've created at one time, because that is a place that can get us really stuck or stay small, or just walking in the reality that we're used to. So I love it. Thank you for sharing. I think you articulate beautifully. And so it's really great when you speak up with all of us. I love it. Thanks, Scott. Alec, we're in outer space. There's some imagination.
Yeah, well, let's just say I was a little spaced out. So
Spaced out.
yeah, so I just felt like the picture was appropriate. But I like how you brought up this conversation of imagination, and how you also mentioned that, maybe sometimes, it is a good idea to venture out, just to go ahead and get out of this little bubble, kind of just experiment and whatnot. And I actually got off the phone with some lady this morning, and she was asking me about schooling. Didn't even know that I had actually requested information on a school, but she did keep mentioning that I did tell her about YouTube. I told her, I was like, well, on YouTube, you can find this and you can find that. But as we got to talking, I told her, I was like, but really at the end of the day, what is your employer going to look for? A guy who learned everything and more on YouTube, or a guy who actually went and sat through class and did something? So as we're talking, I'm kind of just thinking about certain situations going on, and I did notice that I had put myself in a situation that was limiting my imagination. And it's not so much that like it made me a very angry person or anything. It just stressed me out, because it was like, okay, well, now that I'm trying to do this, now I have lost all my desire to even wanna do anything else. However, as we got to talking, I did tell her, look, okay, me joining that program was okay. Well, I might not have explained that to her, which she might have taken out of context, but I just I couldn't see myself going after doing something. As I've said before in other groups, I couldn't see myself forcing myself to do something that was going to limit my imagination. Because that right there, I have personally noticed that I am different when I don't have my imagination. I'm a completely different person. And I do like the program, because we have the opportunity to just really express what is going through our mind. Now, I know you have mentioned that getting used to what other people like and whatever. I don't think that's what I was ever after. I think I was more after just a form of self-expression. So I don't really think that I was ever after trying to please anybody else. I think I was just mainly after trying to please myself. And that to this day is still very pleasing to me, because it's like, okay, you know what? When I can feel better throughout the day, my day goes better. I feel better. My interactions with people, those are a lot better. But whenever I feel constrained to, no, this is the way it is, it's not exactly the way it is. I mean, I can listen to them and I can go ahead and give them the answers that they're looking for. Yay, fantastic. But I'm not going to go ahead and I'm not going to mess with my own sanity just to go ahead and please somebody else, because imagination is really imagination, I feel, is just really where it's at. It's just, you talked about your daughter and the dragon, and why can't I see the dragon? I mean, not to say like, why can't I see it, like a literal question to you, but what I'm saying is like, what if I want to see the dragon? Like, there's nothing wrong with me wanting to say, you know what, that dragon, what does it look like? How fantastic is it? And then you go and you imagine a dragon of your own. And yeah, I do feel that imagination is very key. I don't feel that I don't feel that anybody really should ever have to be forced to think a certain way. I mean, if that's what your imagination tells you, and if it puts you in that comfort spot, then go to your comfort spot. But I have been so far out of my comfort zone for a very long time. And then I jumped into just trying to do what everybody else wanted. And I noticed that I was walking backwards. I wasn't walking forwards. And with that, I will give the floor to whoever else would like to speak.
Awesome to hear from you, Alec, always. And, I always enjoy your self-reflections on your life and your growth and how you're able to witness the things that work for you and don't work for you in life and make those decisions. I think it's so important. It's so important. I think that that's what we really strive in these calls, is that we all are able to look deep inside of us and understand ourselves more. And then from there, make those conscious choices to where we want to be headed with our business, with our personal life, whatever it is. And you always have these introspections and this kind of way, oftentimes after talking to different people and just listening to their opinions and all that. And so, I'm always grateful when you present your thoughts to all of us. So thank you. Eddie, how you doing today, Eddie?
Oh, all right. I'm doing wonderful. And it's interesting. You just happen to just think of this title, this topic. I say, oh, come on. Well, look, imagination may very well be the most underappreciated of our faculties.
I think so.
Look at us here. Look at this Zoom thing. This is somebody's imagination. Mm-hmm. There's a story about a bunch of young guys in a basement. One of them was Bill Gates, and he looked around and he said, I see windows. They were in a basement. There were no windows. So there's some guys said, this dude is a lunatic, and they left. Steve Wozniak was one of the guys that stayed, and he's a billionaire along with him because their imagination was fertile. Look, how magnificent is the human mind? I mean, perception. You got common sense. You have intuition. You have concentration and power to focus. I believe it was Neville Goddard that said imagination is the most powerful of all of them. Because everything we see, Michelangelo saw the David before he even started chiseling the rock. Now think about that now. The people go, how you do that out of a rock? Well, he saw it. Alfred Hitchcock was a movie genius. And he sat down with a guy and he's supposed to have been doing a movie about a shipwreck of the Deer. I think that's the name of it. And the guy, the script writer said, well, I can't do it. He gave him 15 pages, said, I can't do this, Hitch. It's just junk. He said, come on, wait a minute. Now we cultivated this relationship. We gotta do this. No, we don't have to. You get somebody else. He said, wait a minute, now come on. What do you want to write? He said, I don't want to write that shipwreck. He said, well, write what you want to write. He said, wait a minute, what the studio head is gonna say? Don't worry about them. You write what you want to write. It was called North by Northwest. It came out of this guy's imagination, and it was a secret, the slide-in blockbuster. Anybody my age or older know about it. It is explosive. Cary Grant, Eva Marie Saint, and some scenes in it that's just, oh my God. And I can watch this movie. It may be my favorite movie. I can watch this movie over and over again, looking at this man's imagination, because they said Alfred Hitchcock could memorize every frame in the storyboard. And storyboarding is imagination. Like a comic book, you write the whole movie out before it comes, and the actors look at it and they go out there and make it happen. All the world is a stage, and we are merely players. So get in this LHS thing and play on. Play with it. That's what Rachel did. Play with it. Look, I'm showing out. That's me. And, and people don't even know I'm an author, but I just fell in love with stuff to do. Do whatever it is. Crochet, I crocheted. I told you I did aerobics. I love doing stuff. Do it. Whatever it is. Be like Nike and just go do it. Right on, Alex. Right on. You right, man. Get out there and just show out. Boy, Scott's something else, man. Get out there and do it. All right, I'm doing too much, so I'm gonna get back to you. Go right ahead and take it back, Miss. I appreciate the effervescence you put into all your reports. That's a wild way to say it.
That's awesome, Eddie. What a beautiful book that you put out there. And you told us that you illustrated all of the pictures as well, right? Show us a little, just kind of give us a little sneak peek there. Let's see. I mean, it's amazing to celebrate each other. You put out a book, it's out there on Amazon, like you told us, and you did. Wow, look at that. Gorgeous. Wow. Love it, Eddie. And it's so beautiful. First of all, the energy that you bring, and then your commitment to the system, and your willingness to try that right there. Your book is the testament to your imagination. You imagined it. You imagined the story. You were like, I'm going to do something creative that hasn't been done before, maybe. And I don't know the story, but it looks like you just made something really spectacular. So I appreciate you sharing that with all of us. And it's always great to hear from you, Eddie. We got Kelly. Might be the first time we hear from you, Kelly. Excited that you've raised your hand. So let's hear.
Hi. So I just want to touch on the fact that I feel like this conversation connects with, I don't know if it was earlier this week or last week, with the childlike mind discussion that you guys had. And it just really kind of connected with me with the fact, like, my daughter, when she was little, I don't know if any of you know about coloring books, but coloring books are introduced to kids so little. And I learned once that once they introduce it, kind of teaches you to like color within the lines. Kind of takes away your imagination. And we always just gave her blank paper, and somebody gave her a coloring book once when I think she was being babysat. And she's like, Mommy, I just want coloring books. And we were like, we weren't okay with that, but we asked her, like, why do you want that? Because I can't draw like that, And it's funny how, like, we start so young taking away imagination and our childlike behavior. And I just think like if you can kind of go back to like that childlike thing and just imagine, find all the things that make you feel like a child again. And I think that'll just bring about the imagination to help you just really go far. So that was it.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. We went through a similar experience here. You know, one of my sons, like I said, we used to do a lot of art projects, and one of my sons, you know, he wanted it to look like either his sister's or mine. You know, he wasn't happy with it not looking a certain way. And he's a fantastic artist, like I'll tell you, really amazing. But but I think it was a great view for me to look to, for his mind, you know, how critical he became of what he's doing and what he wanted to match to. And that's a great conversation. So it's a really good, you know, teaching moment. And then you can take that on from there and just really work with it. And I agree. It's like, you know, once we're able to see those patterns, because like, you know, like I was said, like you're saying, when we have children, we're looking at them, or even if we don't have children of our own, but we're observing them, it's so easy to make these comments or observations or, you know, oh, wow, that's such fabulous art, even if it doesn't look exactly like something that we would be proud of if we made ourselves. We're so easy to give that compliment and reassurance and all that, because we know it's so powerful. And if we can take that same thing and deliver it to ourselves, how healing, how powerful, how encouraging is that? You know, it's even within our inner voice, our inner conversation. We talk about it a lot. What is the tone of your voice? And you know, is it really, are you speaking to yourself like you would speak to your most, I always like to say this, right? Because it triggers people, you know, your most favorite child. How can you have a favorite child? But it's that kind of idea, you know, where you allow yourself, it's okay, I have more than one favorite and all of them can be my favorite. And we've got this garden of beautiful children and it's fine. It's a liberating moment where art is, you know, and we see it all around. Don't you go to like art galleries and you see this picture and you're like, what, how can this be being sold for like $20,000? We could make this in our garage, right? But it was that courage of the artist to put himself out there or herself out there and present that art to the world and then say, yes, this is worth this amount of money. I say so, and people pay it. People pay it. So that was a beautiful, Michael, you're here. Good to see you, Michael. Maybe we'll hear from you soon. But thank you for sharing with us, Kelly. Really great to hear from you. We got Lynn and Susan. We're at the top of the hour, so let's hear from both of you. Oh, Lynn, we can't hear you.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. First of all, Scott, excuse me for getting up and walking away while you were talking. I was listening. You just kind of sparked something, and I went to try and find a book, and I couldn't find it quickly, so I came back. But I could hear you. You just put in mind. I'm going to mispronounce this guy's name, so excuse me. A Colombian author by the name of Jorge Luis Borges, or George Luis Borges, to those. Now he wrote short story. Right. The book I was thinking of is Labyrinths, and I'm pretty sure that's the name of the story that I had in mind. And you're probably guessing, you probably know where I'm going now. This is good, Karen. But there's a story that he writes of a magician in the jungle who, with his imagination, creates another human being. And I mean, he talks in a very, very short period of time over how he makes a person, unmakes that one because it's not good enough, and then finally makes a person, and he realizes he's right and he has to let him go, and the heartbreak of letting this person go. And then once he's gone, he wonders, is this person ever going to realize that he's not the same as humans, that he's actually been made? And he fears for him. And then there's a fire in the jungle, and the magician doesn't get hurt, and he realizes he's been made. And suddenly his reality is turned on its head. And you've got this sort of crux of a vision between what's real and what's original and what's imagination, like the dragons, you know. It's exactly that kind of thing, and it just throws you right on your heels, and you just kind of, it's metaphysical kind of writing. And when you get to the end of it, it's like, what is real? And we're totally creating all our own realities, which, as you go. But it's like, this book just sort of said it so nicely. And it was that story that came to mind, and you sort of sparked it, Scott, and the dragon sparked it too.
Awesome. I'm glad I shared that story, because I see that it tickled a bunch of you, and I just thought it was super sweet. And isn't it awesome how, you know, we can find these same similarities in our lifetime. We can so believe a train of thought that we are certain is the truth and is the reality. And then just a couple months or weeks down the road, suddenly we discover that it was not reality, that in that moment, that was the dream. And here we are arriving at what is truly reality. And it's, you know, it's just a beautiful dance of those energies. And we can witness that everywhere if we begin to notice. And that's when, you know, we are then become much more aware of how we're leading our imagination, how is our imagination being constructed, and where are we going with it? What is our go-to? Everyone has a go-to, like, kind of daydream or fantasy or something that you go to in your mind where you feel real comfortable because you've thought about it a million times. And then, you know, okay, is this really serving you, or is this just a safe space where you feel like, oh, okay, I know this kind of narrative or this idea, and I'll just spend some time here. And I think it's so great when we're able to pause and say, wait, this is actually not my reality and what we're living in. And maybe it's a whole flip thing. And again, that brings us back to the conversation with Scott, where we allow ourselves to see that shift, you know, in our world. It's really awesome. Thanks for bringing that to our attention, Lynn. Really great. And I'm sure Scott didn't mind that you got up from our short acquaintance. I'm sure he honors anything that you need to do as he's speaking, because this is such a fabulous community. Scott says yes. All right, Susan, let's hear from you.
All right. It's coming up to the end. I know I'm going to be short. I also put it in the chat. Harry Chapin, from way back when, Flowers Are Red. This was our family's, like, motto song. Flowers are red, young man. Green leaves are green. There's no need to see flowers any other way than the way they always have been seen. But the little boy said, there are so many colors in a rainbow, so many colors in a morning sun, so many colors in a flower, and I see everyone. I love that song. That's the ending of this talk.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for that. It really keeps us in
wonderful
that smile and childlike vibe, and just you know, really it brings us back to, like, appreciating the things around us in a new way, allowing ourselves to see those colors, the flowers, the things that we've always, you know, been around us in a fresh and new way, so that we can imagine a new reality for ourselves, or whatever dreams and goals and desires you have. It starts with that space of imagination. It really, truly does. All right, Scott, one last comment and we'll wrap it up for today. I don't want to leave without any.
Sorry, I think I'm pushing Pat out. Sorry, Pat. Just one thing that I have to mention. James Allen said, the will to do springs from the knowledge that we can do. And I've taken that very much to heart, because the one thing about imagination, in imagination, you can do anything. You can be anything. So therefore, if we spend time in imagination, the will to do will correspondingly expand. Because if you can do anything in any realm, real or otherwise, doesn't make any difference. If you can experience the reality of being able to do anything, it fires up your will, it fires up your spirit, it fires up your soul to want more, to want to be more. So I think that's the real power of imagination. It helps you envision a bigger can-do self-concept. Sorry, Pat. That's what I have to say.
Awesome. Thank you, Scott. We'll wrap up with that. And I will also just mention for those who would like to have some help here, assistance, we are concluding this conversation. So that means that your screen will say, end of meeting has ended. If the community is here afterwards, so if you want to hop back into the same link that you joined in order to be here in the first place, hop back on and you'll find your fabulous community members here waiting just to help you and give you advice. There was a question about eBay and all that, and you can ask after this and you will find your answers. Thank you all for being here. This was fun. I will see you next week on Tuesday. Tomorrow's Fun Friday, everyone, with John Lavinia, the fabulous John Lavinia Fun Friday. Prepare your pets, your jokes, your hats, your funny shirts. I mean, whatever you have to start the weekend right. We are so happy for Fun Friday.